how are you doing this morning? You are at one of my favourite places in the world today, you lucky thing.
I know, it's absolutely fantastic. I mean, that's a scene setter, isn't it? We are at Weta Workshops, and, well, this is the behind-the-scenes tour of Thunderbirds Are Go. Not just this is just one little display. In fact, the back room is absolutely littered full of the most amazing vehicles and landscapes. So that's what we're going to spend the morning doing today on Women's Day, is we're going to get in there, talk to some of the experts and get amongst it. So we've even got Sir Richard Taylor coming down, so it is going to make for a fantastic morning. And I think the vehicles do it for me. I'm a vehicles kind of guy, and I turn up thinking, oh, Thunderbird 2, you know, and you look at them and you go, magnificent. But wait until you see the landscapes. The landscapes that these guys have put together are just absolutely staggering.
So we've got to get to Sammy. Sam, where are you, mate? Because you... Oh, look at this. This is like heaven, this place, isn't it, to little model makers? Yeah. Look at that.
Yeah, this is the Crichton Ward Manor. So this is Penelope's house, if you've recognised it. Isn't it just a thing of absolute beauty? Like, just for example, this tiny little piece of the puzzle, and look at the beautiful little light uplighting onto the dog. Isn't that just amazing? It gets better, though. This place is just an absolute hoot. And so is Kimmy. Kimmy's here to talk props and stuff like that. And it's surprising, because some of the things that they use in these amazing models might surprise you. We're going to talk in just a second. All right, mate, talk us through it, because it's not what you'd expect, is it?
It's definitely not. So it's generally made from a pile of rubbish. You've got the vehicle here and Kinder Surprise eggs, and that's what's sitting right on the back.
And there's also another one that I really liked on the back of the satellite dish here, if we spin it around, is...
Piece of Lego, right in the back.
Isn't that amazing? And you've got some other bits and bobs here too.
Yeah. So what we're looking at is Hood's Lair, which is next to me, and it is filled with...
Hood's Lair, where does this fit into the story?
So he's the bad guy.
Okay.
So this is his ship, and where he sort of starts off, and it's the biggest junk pile you'll ever see.
Is that right? Talk us through, what have you got?
So down here, we have a disposable razor as light fixtures. Up along there, you can see some squeezy bottles that are just full of water. And my favourite ones are the bank pen holders. You go to the bank and you stick the pens in.
Yeah. And I guess that's what you guys are encouraging people to do with the youngsters. Oh, watch your back, Charlie's slipping around the back. And that's where you get kids in here and you start to show them and encourage them that they can also do this.
Yeah, so I mean, you can start with taking like a drink bottle and then gluing some random stuff to it and make a cool rocket ship, because that's essentially how we started.
Do you know that my favourite one, are we allowed to rush around? We'll come for a little, just a quick walk, because I think this is my favourite one up here. It's the orange, what's it called? An orange zester.
Squeeze.
Where is that?
Keep going, keep going.
Yeah, the lemon squeeze. Have a look at that. That is a lemon squeeze, which is pretty much making the perfect kind of, well, what would you call that?
Some extractor fan. And
yeah, extractor fan. Isn't it neat? And there's so much more to show you guys. The sets are just absolutely staggering. So, yeah, stick around. We'll show you some
quick question. Quick question. The scale of the various models changes somewhat, doesn't it? Obviously, for the different types of filming. The one you just walked into, are they like full-sized... I mean, that's like a full-size set, that little tunnel you were just in where the lemon squeezer is. So is that the set where they film?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, Rawdon. You've actually hit the nail on the head. And we'll show you this a little bit later. Okay. I don't want to give away all my tricks right now, but what's the home base called? The
Tracy Island?
Yeah, Tracy Island.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got that in a range of different scales. So you can film with the characters in it, but then you've got the wide shot for the whole mountain as well. So Sir Richard Taylor's going to guide us through that one a little bit later. It is just ace.
Oh, that is so fascinating. And
ace. Is that uncool?
Number 8 wire technology going on there too, with the lemon squeezer and the pens and the Lego. I love it.
Yet he's such a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Sir Richard, every tiny detail has to be exact. However, if a Kinder Surprise egg capsule works, why not?
He's living his dream this morning at Weta Workshop.
Oh, absolutely, I'm living my dream, but you've really... That was a long chat to be in this tiny box, I have to say. Anyway, I was building up to a great reveal. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go. It's not quite as slick as what you might have been hoping. But why would Peter got carried away there? I was stuck in there like one of those ladies that gets sawn in half. Anyhow, we're going to be talking with Sir Richard in just a second. He's popping up at 7:35. In fact, he's just watched me come out of one of his models and he's shaking his head at me. He's not so sure about the scene of Thunderbirds. But let's get into the weather. We'll have a chat with him in about 25 minutes' time. Staggering, isn't it? Isn't it absolutely amazing? This is, of course, one of the closer images, is probably a poor explanation, but around the other side is the wide shot, and it is just amazing how they work together. So we're going to pick Sir Richard Taylor's brain in just a small second, and that's exactly where I'm standing. In that pool, but that's the smaller one. Get it?
Wow.
How cool is that?
So, Sam, can people actually take tours of this, or are you just getting a special...
It's too small.
Yeah.
Well,
No, the model's too small.
This is why we're here. Yeah, the thing is, that's what they're doing. They're doing a tour. What is this? A library for ants? No, that's exactly what it is. It's a bit of a tour to showcase these things. And the most amazing thing about these is that these are still working models. They're still using these to shoot ongoing series, and they're just trusting everyone. They're even trusting Charlie as he wanders between them. So,
amazing.
Yeah, careful, buddy.
And hey, look,
Yeah,
I know that I was never into the models, but it does also look like a giant pimped-out doll's house, so I get it too, okay? We'll see you soon, Sam.
Sir Richard Taylor has joined us now, and he's taken some time out of his very busy schedule, and we'll talk about that in just a second too, because it's absolutely nuts, but we're talking Thunderbirds as well. So, let's start at the very beginning. Thunderbirds, it's been a success. It's been picked up.
It has. It's great. It's playing in many parts of the world. It's just been picked up by America. Great thing is that it's going to play in Japan, which is one of the biggest fan bases in the world.
They love it, eh?
They love the original show, and hopefully they'll love our show as much. So it's really exciting.
Let's talk about the original, because obviously people that used to love the series used to love the characters which were effectively puppets. You guys changed the plan on that, and for very good reasons. Has it been accepted well?
Yeah, we were worried originally that, you know, a miniature that we'd build such as this, originally it was populated with real characters, puppets on marionetted strings that would bring the characters into the environment. And that's a much-loved part of the original feel of the show. But we realised very quickly, as much as I would love to have done the show as the original was done, that children today, a modern-day childhood audience, weren't going to accept marionettes. They need the dynamic, the visual interplay of the characters and the faces. And so we ultimately went for digital characters and vehicles in a model-made world.
And it's been loved. It's working.
Yeah, it's great going to conventions now where the fans of the original will stand up and endorse the show, which is very, very thankful. But most importantly, when little kiddies come along dressed in modern-day Thunderbird outfits and want to come and talk about the show. So
why the tour? Why have you invested so much time into your hugely busy schedule to put something like this together?
We feel a compunction to make sure that the children, definitely of New Zealand, don't grow up not realising that these 10 magical things are for one thing only, and that's making cool stuff. And, you know, when we build a miniature such as this, we're trying to show children that something like this may be tricky to build and a complex model, but things like this model are actually just a pile of junk, as Kimmy was saying, and they can be built with relatively simple techniques. This model, in fact, was built by 2 young women that joined us from overseas, and they had never built a model like this before, but through, you know, tenacity and enthusiasm, something amazing can happen. So.
The lemon squeezer, though, it comes up with a great story as well, though. Can you tell us that?
Yeah, the lemon squeezer is one of those forehead slapping moments that you hit, because in the original show, they used to use bits of junk because it made it cheaper to build the models. It's called scratch build model making. You get things off the shelf already made. You know, there's a photocopier cartridge. It's junk, it was thrown in the bin, but there's a great technical component. To make that would cost a lot of money, but to find it's cheap. They used a lemon squeezer on the wall for some sort of jet turbine air intake. We built this miniature at a larger scale because we wanted it to look more detailed than what we could have achieved at the smaller scale. came to put in the lemon squeezer, we actually had to 3D model and 3D print. That's probably the most expensive item in all the model. Oh, dear me.
Hey, just quickly before we go, because time has come to an end, unfortunately, we could talk all day, couldn't we? One of the things you were explaining was the angle of perception. So if you put a camera over the top of a model, it starts to look like a model, correct?
Correct. When the camera is up high, you have to be very thoughtful about using that perspective because it immediately throws a model like this into a miniature scale. But should you drop the camera to just about 5.5 to 6 feet off the apparent height of a surface, a model will start to take on the qualities of reality because now you're seeing it from the perspective of a human's point of view. And that's how the shooting crew often film these things. You know, it's a real tribute to a huge group of people that this has all come together.
And it's an absolute pleasure having a chat to you. I could chat to you all day about it. So I know your busy schedule continues. So back to the earpiece, back to work. There is literally no second in this day's man that isn't accounted for to the fact that he works till midnight every night. I don't know how much sleep he gets. It's not much.
It's all good fun.
It's all good fun.
Oh, we're very honoured to have him on breakfast.
chat,
How
mate.
cool.
Thank you.
He's never ever thought of it as work either. And he's the most... he's a complete perfectionist.
Sam's having the time of his life this morning.
Films of the future, Sam.
5, 4, a bit early on that, but we'll take that. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Obviously, Weta Workshops is where we are today, and this is one of the coolest sets, isn't it? I mean, it's one that we've all seen and know. And, of course, when you create movement with models, watch your step there, bud, you have to be realistic. So they've got rubber trees so that it moves when you move the lever. See how they move? Isn't that absolutely fantastic? We're going to go talk about some of the vehicles. Right, team. Lovely to have you back along. This is Jake. We haven't met Jake yet. We've met you, though, and it's Kimmy. Yep. Fantastic. My mind is slowly churning away this morning. Let's talk about this. Thunderbirds 5. An incredible piece of model making once again, but one that took a long time.
So this Thunderbird 5 is based on the original Thunderbirds. It's made by Dave Tremont, who's a model maker in the workshop. He's been around for over 10 years. It took him 5 years to find all the pieces to put this together.
How did it take 5 years? What's happening there, Kimmy?
So this is made from what we call kit bashing, so you've got to find that one piece from that one model to glue onto it.
Can you quickly go and grab one of those? You nip away. Can you explain this? Because this does need some explaining. It's really cool. So you know when you make a model, you know these sheets, right? You've seen them 100 times. Explain.
So they're called sprues, and normally you'd pop out these parts and glue them to make your model, and then these parts you throw away. These we keep, and we'll use them on the models, but also as I was taking like Dave Tremont, we need to find that one piece there to glue onto that one model.
And it gets ridiculous, like it's out of a Russian model.
Yeah, one of them I think was from a Russian model aircraft done back in the 60s, so we had to try and find it. And of course we didn't have the internet back then, so we had to phone and try and find exactly where it was.
And it took them 5 years to finally get those final little pieces. And there they are on the side. You can see the little black bits and bobs on this side and on the other side as well. So that's the kind of detail that you have to go into to please the people that are the long-term fans of the show. You have to get it right on point. Back to you guys.
Well, they're the people for the job, if that's the task.
Absolute
no, it's very cool.
perfectionists, as we keep saying this morning, because that's the standard Richard Taylor demands of them. Sammy, now, what other delight have you got for us this morning? This is like heaven, this little model-making place, isn't it?
I want to go too.
I know, it's good, eh? We're all geeking out. This is a cool one. Stephen Saunders joined us now, who's the chief model maker here at Thunderbirds. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create a landscape. So we've looked at the cars, we've looked at some of the model landscapes. Now we're actually designing some sand dunes and stuff like that. That's what is that a fair description of what we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll do the weather and then we'll see how this takes shape. And we've got tools as well. Yes. Oh, careful. Pretty cool landscape, isn't it? If you're wondering where Weta Workshops fudged the moon landings, it was here. This is what they did. They did it here. And that's what we're doing. We're trying to create a lunar landscape, aren't we? So talk us through it, Stephen.
So what we're doing is we're creating little sand dunes.
Okay.
So I found with a little bit of testing that you can actually scoop sand, much like a children's sand pit.
Yep.
You can actually shape whole sets, and a lot of it is very similar to what you do in a sand pit. So you just make these little scoops, and you start the process And then if I can get you to grab that machine,
Yep.
you're actually just going to very lightly push the sand and it'll start waving in exactly like it would in a desert environment.
Okay, so is this for like dynamic landscapes, or is this actually us shaping it? Like, are we trying to create wind here or dunes? You know what I mean?
We're creating dunes, so what you're doing is you're actually model making with air. There we go. So you see that beautiful line that's starting to form on the top of all of the dunes.
Right, and so it's working just like it would in nature, effectively.
Right, yeah.
And of course, the lighting is helping a whole lot too, right?
It sure is, yeah.
How much time do you guys spend on lighting? It's a huge part of the models, isn't it?
The lighting can be a huge part of the models. A lot of the models have got lighting built into them, into little buildings and cars and things. So it's a huge part of the process.
And interactive, well, you can see that, can't you? Look at that. Charlie warned me, though, you're not allowed to get it on the camera. But that's quite cool, isn't it? And it's all part of the display here at Weta Workshop. Of course, it's the Thunderbirds display, and you can come and be amongst it as well. It's open right now. Not many people know it's open right now. It's $25 for adults, it's $12 for children. It's amazing. You get to see the models, you get to get amongst it and interact with it, and I highly recommend it, and I suspect you guys feel exactly the same way after what you've seen this morning.
Totally. It makes me want to book flights to the capital and go see it. Take my nephews. They would love it.
Amazing. What happens if you stick that right into the sand? Does it create a tunnel?
Let's find out.
Would you get in trouble? Oh, God, there goes the camera.
No! All right, Sam might not be welcome back. I was going to stay there.
Cool.
He'll stay there all day,
cool.
but they might be kicking him out in a minute.
It has broken an $80,000 camera, but... Now, Sam, go back to the original models. What happens if you twist the bits? Do that... Anyway, we're moving on.